Welcome everyone to the fourth video of our third outline loop with R. So in this video we will talk about the second type of loop, which is while loop. So the following topics about the while loop will be covered, such as what is a while loop, conditional statements in while loop, and some control statements in while loop. So what is actually a while loop? The advantages of loops include time savings, less errors, and improved readability of the code. The while loop allows us to continue running the same block of code as long as a certain condition is satisfied. As long as the condition is true, the statements inside the while loop will be repeated. But if the condition changes to false, the control will exit the loop and the remaining code will be executed. The while loop's key feature is that it requires the indexing variable to be defined. Let's see the syntax. So first of all, you have to write down the while keyword, and then in the parentheses, you pass the condition, and on the basis of this condition, the statements inside the loop will be executed. Now in the bracket, you write down the statements, and in the last, you change the condition. Either you implement or decrement in the condition to terminate the loop, or else it will run forever. Now let's create a simple while loop. Now let's say I want to create a table of 5 just as we did in the last video. But this time we're not going to use for loop for this purpose, but we will use a while loop. So first of all, I will get the input in a number, and I say as dot integer read line prompt, enter a number to make its table using while loop. All right, let's take the input from the user. I want to make a table of 5. So in the console, I have entered 5. Now let's move back. So in order to make a while loop, first of all, I have to define an indexing variable to use in loop. Let's say loop variable, and the value is 1. Then I use the keyword of while in order to create a while loop, and I say run the while loop as long as the loop variable value is smaller than or equal to 10. All right. Now here I say print, then paste, and I say that num multiply by loop variable, which is going to be 1 in the start, or you can say in the first iteration, and then equals to, and then I say num multiply by loop variable. So in the first iteration, the value will be 1, and 5 multiplied by 1 will be 5. Now I have to change the condition for this loop variable. I will say loop variable equals to, or by using the left assignment operator, I will say loop variable plus 1. And this is how the value is going to be incremented in each iteration. In the next iteration, the value will be 5 multiplied by 2, and 5 multiplied by 2 will be equals to 10. Now let's try to run it. See, so this is how your while loop works. You can see the table of 5 just down here. Now let's move back to slides. Now, you can also use conditional statements in while loop. Using a conditional or control statements like if and if else, you can modify the output and change the program's flow depending on the outcome of a specific conditions. Let's use them in our while loop. Alright, this time, let's say I extend the same program, but I create a new vector. Let's say I have a vector of shop just like in the previous video. It have burgers and we have pizza in our shop and we have pasta and we have rings and we have nuggets and we also have some sandwiches. All right. Now this time, let's say we print out each item in shop one by one. So I will say I is smaller than length of shop vector. But you may have noticed that I haven't declared the indexing variable I above here. So I have to make it first. And let's say it has a value of 1. All right. Now inside the while loop, I say print and print out each item of shop, but I will pass the index of shop right here. So first of all, in first iteration, the shop will have the value of 1 because the indexing variable has the value of 1. Now here I will say I equals to I plus 1, and this will increment the position or the index of indexing variable. So in the next iteration, its value is gonna be 2. So the shop will have the second index and it will print out the pizza. Now let's run it. So you can see here that all of the items have been printed, but you may have noticed that the last item, sandwiches, have been skipped because we have used the condition here that I is smaller than length of shop. So in order to make it right, we have to put equals to sign. Let's run it once again. See, now sandwiches is also printed. Now let's do an interesting thing here. First of all, I say run the while loop, and the condition is that print out the items as long as you have the length of the shop, and inside the while loop, I say if. Now I'm going to use the if clause here, and in the parentheses, I will say if the shop index value is equals to pizza. Then I will say print pizza found in the vector shop. And I will also say else, like if the pizza is not found in the shop vector, then print out pizza not found in the shop. And after the if-else condition, I will change the condition of while loop. I will say I equals to I plus 1. So technically, we will have pizza found in the shop because we have pizza here. So technically we did a little mistake here. Instead of using I, we have to use another indexing variable because the I have been previously used by the previous loop. So let's say j has the value of 1, and instead of I just use j, and this time you will see it running. Okay, that's perfect. Now you can see here that the pizza has been found on the second index, so pizza found in the shop. This if statement has been true, and that's why it was executed. But for the rest of the index, pizza could not be found on the index. So the if condition was false, and that is why the else condition ran. Now let's move forward. So you have seen how to use if and else condition in a while loop. Now let's see how we can use control statements. Control statements in a loop structure alter the order of execution. All automatically generated objects that were formed within a scope are deleted when execution leaves it. The control statements below are supported by R. So the first one is break statement. Next we have next statement. Now the break statement can be used for termination of a loop. We can end a loop statement and transfer the control to the following statement. Let's see how it works in a while loop. I will use the same program as above, and I will define an indexing variable at first. Let's say int, and it has the value 1. Inside the while loop, I say int smaller than or equals to length of shop, and inside the while loop I say that print out each index element of shop, and then I say if the value at the current index of the shop equals to, let's say, pasta. Then we will break our loop and stop printing the rest of the statements. Now let's see. Wait, I forgot to do the incrementation in my while loop. All right, now we are good to go. See, the loop has been terminated at the index of pasta because our if condition was true. So this is how the break statement works. Now, the next statement can also be used in the same way. Let's do it. Let's suppose I have index 2, and that contains a value of 0. And next, I use the while keyword, and I say run the while loop as long as the indexing variable is smaller than the length of the shop variable. And then inside the loop, first of all, I change the condition. I say int2 equals to int2 plus 1. And here I will check the condition by saying if the current index in shop equals pasta, then skip it. And how? You can use the next statement for this purpose. And then I'll simply print shop int2. Let's run it. Oops, I have made a little mistake. Well, actually, I used assignment operator rather than smaller than operator. So let's run it once again. Now you can see here that burgers, pizza, but pasta is not here. It has been skipped. So you can do the similar thing. Let's say this time you want to skip drinks. So you can say drinks in the if condition and run it. And this time you won't see the drinks because it has been skipped. Now let's move back to slides. So this is the end of today's video. You have learned how to use while loops and how you can use conditional statements and the control structures in the while loop, such as if else, next, and break statements. Now good luck and see you next time.